joined on the sofa today by Patrick Cash.
Hi.
He is the writer of Spoken Word. You run Spoken Word nights
Yep.
and attend poetry nights around the city of London, which is where I first met you, was at an Insight Poetry Night
Yeah.
with Trudy. And Patrick is going to perform some of his poetry for us today here, and I'm also hoping to find out a little bit more about you.
Cool.
So tell us, how did you first get into spoken word?
I was living in Paris, and I went there when I finished my studies just to because I had some money saved up, and I was like, Paris has this kind of, I guess, almost mythical legacy of romanticism of being a writer, and I decided I wanted to get some immediate reactions to my writing, and find out what people thought, and I'd been to a spoken word night just before I left, which was on Valentine's Day in my hometown of Bristol, and there were all these amazing poets doing their themes on love, and their different interpretations of love, and there were people like Johnny Fluffypunk and Anna Freeman and Adam Camerling, and it was just really, I'd never seen spoken word performed like that, and it really blew me away. And so when I got to Paris, I looked up spoken word Paris, and there was a night called Spoken Word Paris, lo and behold, on Google, which was Anglophone, so English speaking, and you could go along and take 5 minutes and just share your work. So I did, and I wrote some appalling poems, really appalling poems, but I really liked, they were supportive and friendly, and I really liked to get in the immediacy of feedback, and so I kept on going, and eventually became a bit better, hopefully, and came back to London, couldn't find anything quite like it, and so set up the sister night to Spoken Word Paris, which is called Spoken Word London, and is actually around the corner from here at Vogue Fabrics, which it's been there for almost 3 years now, and it's becoming quite popular. And then that splintered off into some of the sexual health work I do for 5016 Street, which is a sexual health clinic in Soho, and so I run a night that has the same format but for the gay male community, called Let's Talk About Gay Sex and Drugs, which you guys came to see.
And it was an extremely good night, and you had a couple of good speakers there as well.
Yeah.
Which was, we enjoyed that. So you came back from Paris, and you've carried on with the spoken word.
Yeah. So I was just going to say that I think part of the appeal, definitely like at Spoken Word London, what we get is a lot of minorities, whether it would be sexual minorities or BME, black and minority ethnic communities, and I think it's part of the appeal is making your voice heard in a mainstream media where sometimes that voice can't be very apparent, and so definitely that's what I find as a queer man, I guess, of being able to express yourself and express how you feel against, I guess it's very rare to see an advert with any kind of like gay or LGBT people in it. So
So what you've done is you've created a safe space for people to be able to come along and say it how it is, how they're feeling.
Yeah, for Let's Talk, definitely, because that's that's specifically about approaching chemsex in the city, and which it's a lot of gay men are having sex on drugs, and there was a documentary released about it by Vice, and the drugs are methadone, GHB, and crystal meth, and it's some people, I don't want to come across as anti-drugs, or because some people may be able to use drugs very well and healthily, but definitely there's what we're seeing at 5016 Street is that people are beginning to find it very harmful, and so it's to give that space for people to come and talk about it. Spoken Word London is open to anybody, and it's not just minorities who come, but we do see a lot of minority voices taking the mic.
So how did you get into the work with Dean Street Clinic?
I through actually setting up Let's Talk before Let's Talk About Gay Sex and Drugs before I started working at Dean Street, because I interviewed David Stewart, who is a well-known medical expert on chemsex now, and I was working for a nightlife magazine called QX, and then I interviewed David as part of that, and David said, I can't get the community to speak about this. We know that it's happening, but we can't get these issues to come to the fore. And I was like, well, I run this night called Spoken Word London. What if we took that format and call it something slightly outrageous or eye-catching.
Yes.
Like let's talk about gay sex and drugs. And David was like, okay, let's go. And so we did. And the first night I thought we completely failed because we got a nice little crowd through
Yeah.
promoting it. And David works for Dean Street, so Dean Street supported the night. And that's how eventually I got involved with Dean Street more in terms of what I do now, in terms of my work there as patient champion. But yeah, the first night we got a nice crowd there from promoting it for QX and 56 Dean Street. But no one wanted to get up and speak. Like everyone was like, "Oh, I'm just here to listen. I'm just here to listen." And so I had to go around and kind of like politely bully my close friends into taking the mic. And we had about 5 speakers, and which my close friends very kindly did. I'm very grateful to them. But after people had listened to those first 5 speakers and had like a drink and stuff, and I was about to close down the night thinking we failed, people started coming up and being like, "Do you know what, I will speak. Do you know, can you put me down? I will speak." And then we had a whole night of people talking about their issues, and people found it very emotional and very cathartic, and that's where the night, I guess, where this concept came together, and now it's been going for for more than 2 years. Yeah.
Well, then the night that Celesbian attended was standing room only. I mean, I was
Yeah.
very impressed. Yeah. It was absolutely full of gay men, and that there were some women, but the gay men from teens through to 50s, 60s. I mean, it was crowded. It was brilliant, and people wanted to take more time than you were allowing them. You were actually having to tell people to leave the stage now, please. Yeah, it was fantastic. It really was, and the atmosphere was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, but it's also any of these nights. I mean, I can be there and host it and facilitate it, but they're only, without sounding too wanky and pretentious, but they're only really made by the people who come there. So like the fact that the community has taken hold of this night and has supported it and comes and speaks, but also comes and listens, because it's listening that's just as important in these kind of nights. It's really gratifying, and nice to see that people do want this forum to be able to talk about these issues. And also, like what you mentioned, there are some women there as well. Like I think it's very important on the Facebook group. It says it's for anybody to come and speak about how they perceive sex and drug use within the gay male community of London. So, like, because it's not just gay men who are affected. It's their might be their family, their friends, their loved ones. So anybody can come along and take the mic. It's not just for gay men, but it is speaking about an issue, I guess, that is gay male orientated.
What I particularly loved about that night that we came along was the fact that, although the topic is quite a serious one, sex and drugs within the gay world, some people sang about it, some people sang funny songs about it, some people gave a very serious talks, and it was just all the different, people did completely different things with it, and all on a fairly serious point.
Yeah.
Some of it was funny, some of it made you go, ah, and others actually made you feel quite sad. And it was just brilliant. The mixture was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what we wanted from the beginning, I think, like so that people don't get the impression that it's just like a kind of NA group sitting around and being like, "Oh, woe is me." Nothing against NA groups; they do amazing work, but like, but that because it is open mic, and so anybody can do whatever they want, and so it's about self-expression and also I think it's grown into becoming a celebration of the community. So we're getting, we now book in featured speakers, and we're getting drag queens, comedians, singers, actors, and healthcare professionals. So there's a real mix of people choosing to express themselves in whichever way they want to, and I think that's appealing to people for coming to the night as well. You get the intimacy of the confessional intimacy of people revealing their kind of like anecdotal experiences on the chemsex scene, but you also get people a show, I guess, and you get a real kind of love of what the queer community can do, and the LGBTQ people can show their brilliance and talent, I guess.
So if people want to find out about you in the written word, where can they go online?
They can go to my website, which is www.patrickcash.co.uk. They can Google 56 Dean Street to find out all about the sexual health services, or go to the Dean Street Wellbeing homepage, which is www.deansstreetwellbeing.co.uk. deanstreetwellbeingprogram.com.
Brilliant. So if you want to find out any more, as well as those websites, the information is below you on the screen. Thank you, Patrick.
Cool.
And now I look forward to for you.
Below in the description below.
Below in the description below. All right. So if you want to find out any more, then check the description below the screen, and everything will be there for you to find. Thank you, Patrick. And now I look forward to you performing one of your poems for us on the sofa here.
Great.
All right. If you check out the camera over there and just go for it.
Sure. Let's talk about gay sex, baby. Let's crow about its beauty daily. Place away your shades of shame and trace in me a sacred flame. Lend me your lips, boy, and of your muscled hips I will speak and enjoy. Give me the words of your body's supple burn, and into silver zodiacs I will write the codes that my desire in you has cracked, of naked bodies and buttocks and cocks and jock straps. My tongue between your shoulder blades tattoos them with my name, that I will dare to speak and dare to speak again. Down into the dip of your back my mouth will murmur rapt, before I let my whispers lick first one gluteus muscle before onto its perfect brother. As I part your pretty ass to reveal your winking pink anus, in the hush of my first kiss there's sensations racing, instantaneous, spiraling up your spinal cord, exploding into your loosened brain with a gasp and a word that was there from the beginning. Fuck. And I say, yes. I'm not talking about gay sex to shock or cause stress. I'm talking about it because no one else is. Alan Carr isn't. Graham Norton isn't. Paul O'Grady isn't. Even Tom Daly isn't. Our gay comedians are asexual chameleons. No sex please, we're gay and on TV. And I've heard my straight mates say I don't mind it happening as long as I don't have to hear about it. Well, here, now, it's happening. And it's hard and it's fast and it's racing. The sound of flesh whacking flesh, of sweat dripping from one man to another, of my penis inside him, and a soaring, writhing ecstasy of kissing. It's in your face. It's in your head. It's in the space where angels fear to tread. Because my sex is part of my identity. My sex makes me and shapes me. And I'm not going to stop it and lock it and shut it up, not for you and not for me. My sex is the wrong sex. My sex is laced with shame. It's parks after dark, and it's public toilets, and it's AIDS. Like David Stewart said, when your parents think of sex, they see your sister married. You and your boyfriend, it's shit on dicks. And try telling that to the two 20-year-old boys I interviewed last week who both have HIV. Because they're not told about gay sex in schools. And they're not told about transmission. And the condom they are told is there to stop pregnancy. But lastly, my sex is my gift, to be shared safely with rising sensation of move and thrust and kiss. My sex lives in excited eyes. My sex whispers between fingertips. My sex is in his smile, it's in his pleasure, and what we share together. My sex speaks now, and always will, of the word we all call love.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's one of my favourite poems of yours.
Thank you.
I never grow tired of hearing it.
Thank you.
No, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Thank you very
coming.
much for having me.